I don't usually do this, or haven't done it before. I made a video yesterday and was only getting to captioning it and posting it today, and as I was creating the post for it, or just the description, I found myself kind of wanting to go into that too, so I'm just going to make this a part 2 of yesterday's video. So the video was about love, and so far I've just written, in this video I'm riffing about why it is we compromise our values and abandon our needs for love. I know this isn't all of our experience, but I hope in me sharing mine, others can evaluate how they feel in this of their lives too. area of their lives too. Yeah, basically basic psychology tells us that we find comfortable in adulthood what was normalized to us in our first relationships, which was with our parents. Those are the first human connections that we have, the first time we're ever learning. And at this point, the adult, the parent, has lived their whole life, and well, not their whole life, just, however many years. They've had more experience than you, no matter how young of a parent. They've experienced different types of relationships. But you, as a newborn, you're coming in and this is your first ever relationship. So to you, it's kind of the whole world, yeah. It's all you know. And if in that relationship you are told that it's implied that certain parts of you are loved and accepted and other parts of you aren't, then you learn to show the parts of you that earn you love. And it's a really, I think, a detrimental thing to the healing community that I'm a part of, like sound healing, yoga, therapy, shadow work, all the things in this area of self-growth. Something that's so detrimental is when people say, you'll never hear me saying this at the beginning of a yoga class. I will never say, leave your problems at the door and come in and experience this peace and love only. Because even though that might feel good and you might keep going to that class because, I feel peace and love there, I leave my problems at the door, then the second you leave, you walk out that door, all that stuff reminds you, you go right back into, there's a bag waiting for you at the door. And that happens in relationships too. We pick it all up at the end, and that part of ourselves continues to be something that's not fully accepted. And I think it's so important that and part of why I'm even creating this channel where it's what am I really talking about? I'm just trying to be honest and I'm trying to be open. And I feel like all the time I could be saying it better. I feel like I say it better in my own head, or when I have conversations with friends, more flows out of me. And when I'm on here, I'm having to not be affected by the fact that there's a time that I don't want to go over because I don't want people to be bored. There's, things that are interrupting me here, but reveal the true vulnerability that I'm trying to show, that it's not leave the part of you that doesn't speak fluidly or express themselves perfectly. Something that I realized recently was and it like is coming and going because I'm on a video right now. And that's what I mean by this being so imperfect. But something that came to me was like, what are all the ways that I do things? What are all the things that people think that they can't do messy? Think that need to look a certain way, or you don't even do them. And I think conflict is one of those things. Expressing your needs. You don't want to do it wrong, because what if they're just you have to regather. We are imperfect and messy, and there are things that are going to be done in that way, or they're not going to be done at all. And I just want for humanity to be more accepting of our own and each other's flaws. Now, where does this come into play with the love conversation? I guess we'll see. So, we get used to certain dynamics with our parents in relationships. And then we become adults and we realize we're dating our mom, we're dating our dad. And it usually in both of those versions, you become the other one. You know, like you date your dad and you become your mom, vice versa. That's a very black and white way of saying it, but something along those lines. And I guess my question is, the part of us that thinks that what we're receiving is love, because that's why we're there. We think, oh, this is love. This is what it's supposed to look like. Like so many people in relationships, I think, just think, oh, it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be this. But what's really happening is it's allowing an unhealed version of you to exist. That unhealed version being the version of yourself that you had to be in order to earn love from your parents. You're being again in relationships. So my question is, how do I not do that? And as I was writing, I was like, I should make a video, and now I'm like, what did I want to talk about? So basic psychology tells us, I wrote this, we find comfortable in our adulthood whatever we normalize in our relationships with our parents. This answers why we find comfort in what we don't want to, why our brains and heart don't live in harmony. We keep doing this out of what habit is the only way to end this disagreement of your body not liking something but your heart loving it and staying, to heal within, or to simply write a list of all that we know we are comfortable with and are not good. Wherever our heart goes, that our brain and body fight with, and then simply avoid those channels to love, like avoid those relationships. Be like, write a list of, these are all the things I know I like that I shouldn't, so just no more. Quit cold turkey. Is that the way? Though from that space, doing the moving around, like just moving without healing, from that space, will we actually be attracted to real love? Because you can avoid what you know isn't good for you, even though you might like it. But if you aren't fully healed in why you want it in the first place, then are you ever really going to find what's actually good for you? Do we need to heal the part of us that wants what we shouldn't have, go to that and say, why do you want that? What is it you truly need? And also, when did you decide that love looked like this? When did you decide that? It seems too easy to just write a list of all the things we know that we want that we shouldn't and just stop. That seems kind of like spiritual bypassing a bit, to just be like, oh, these are the guidelines. I don't want to do these things anymore. I want to do these things. I don't want to stay up late. I want to meditate before bed, so I just do it. But if you don't understand the part of you that doesn't want to, then is just doing it like it's just a band-aid, you know? You're not actually putting the rubbing alcohol on there, which is the part that burns, the hard part, and saying, okay, why do I want to self-destruct? You may not be letting yourself self-destruct, but you have that part of you that still wants to, and that part of you might follow you into real love. If you decide, okay, all these things are bad for me, but I still want them, so we're just not gonna do them. And then you find yourself in a relationship that is none of those things, and there's still a part of you that wants it, wants the other thing that you told yourself you couldn't have because it wasn't good, but you didn't really put the rubbing alcohol on and truly understand what that wound was. Why do I want it in the first place? So I think that's the answer. I don't think that you can find real love and be content and peaceful there until you understand why you've been attracted to things that aren't real love, or else that subtle desire of what isn't real love is just going to still haunt you and probably get bigger and bigger. Yeah. So we have to understand why we compromise our values and abandon our needs for love before we can actually find it. Which is kind of the point of all of this. It's the point of, all of this whole journey that I've been on for like the last 10 years of just deep self-reflection. And it comes and goes too. Like, it hit me for the first time when I was 17. And I was like, whoa, like there's gotta be more of a reason to be here in this life. Because it felt like I wasn't connecting with anyone, wasn't understanding myself, no one understood who I was, and I felt made fun of. I felt like everywhere I went, I was just bothered, and I just wanted to sit in my room forever. And in that time, I realized like I had my first real spiritual moment, other than maybe being a child and having little things happen, but my first real moment in adulthood of like, oh, like there's a reason I'm here, like there's a reason to be here. And that lasted for a little bit. I sought therapy, I did therapy for a long time. And then more life shit hit the fan, and I kind of went back under. Like I've I've noticed I have like these cycles where I've been like awake and trying to understand myself and where I'm at and be more in choice of my destiny and where I'm going. And then I'll make some choices or like get in a relationship and like fall asleep for a little bit, almost in like into the ease of whatever that is. Or maybe things get hard and I just can't face it anymore and I just want to like use stimulants or things to help me relax instead of naturally relaxing. So like the whole point of my healing journey has been, how do I connect with people more, and how do I relax without a substance? How do I live with my anxiety and allow it to guide me? Because I don't want to numb my anxiety. I've seen people do that. I've seen people do that. I think it's common in like, anyways, I don't want to. I've seen people do that. It's like, oh, I have anxiety. I need to write it off and ignore it. But you don't want to ignore it because it does show you where you might need to look, but the stressed out way of looking at it isn't how you should look at it. Like, don't embody the anxiety. Just allow it to be a compass. So how do I connect with people, and how do I live with my anxiety and let it not ignore it, let it live, but still be in my peace and genuinely enjoy my life, even though the anxiety always really has something to say. I want to enjoy my life, I want to relax, and I want to connect with people all substance free. So that's the point of all of this. And I think that there's so much spiritual bypassing, there's so much, these are the steps, I do these things, like I'm a yogi, I'm healed, I go to church, I'm healed, I'm like, there's all these different ways that people like identify as, and it's like, oh, so I don't need to actually look at why I did the negative thing, I can just be forgiven, or just like find peace, you know, like Zen, don't think about anything, why I behaved that way yesterday, like that's spiritual bypassing. It's disguising inner work, like it's disguising the results of deep inner work with, oh, I follow these instructions, I go to these things, I do these things, but you're not actually embodied. And the way that you know that you're embodied, or when someone else is when they genuinely feel aligned, like they're what they're trying to, the practices that they're doing align with how they're healing. It's not like, oh, you know. I'm like tempted to go on a monologue about how I feel, but I'm not gonna do that. So hopefully this makes sense as a part 2. Maybe eventually all my videos will just be part, and I'll just have a million. Okay. Peace out.